We now invite you to watch the first part of this philosophical lecture titled, Why People Are Attracted to Practitioners, Part 1 of 3, on Between Master and Disciples, given in English on June 26, 1992, in New Jersey, USA.
Supreme Master Ching Hai's lectures are not a complete meditation instruction. Please do not try alone. For free of charge guidance, please visit godsdirectcontact.org or contact any of our centers near you.
Go home, yeah? See? Okay, then you can show them the tape of the United Nations today, since you have not been there, huh? You can have a look. They were talking about, interestingly, somebody asked about how they destroy the forests in Brazil and make a lot of floods. Remember? In the newspaper, yeah? Just yesterday I scolded some guy because cut one tree. I have a reason for everything. And I do things with reason, so please be careful with what you do, huh? I don't like anything half done, half cooked. So I have to cook you well, because I love you. I cook you well. You see how beautiful it is, pocket under the trees, between the trees, yeah? Looks so nice. And even there are no cars there, we feel nothing changed much, okay? From the outlook, it's still beautiful. If everyone parked one car and cut one tree, can you imagine how long this forest will last with the amount of disciples and cars? Huh? Not even 2 weeks. Each one comes and park where he wants, and then he doesn't like the tree in front of his nose, and he just cuts it. Yeah, and it breaks my soul also. I cannot believe it. And such person also proclaims to be my disciple. How? How do you fit in with my teaching? When we do something like this, it's not only the tree that's important. It's not a mistake. It's our level. Our practice is so low. And karma is heavy. That's what makes people not like us, understand? Because of our level, not because of the tree. It's just leaking out of our inside. Whatever we do is mostly from the inside. Recently, I was having so much work, and sometimes it's very difficult to have time to sleep because of the Vietnamese refugees problem. Not because of our spiritual problem, yeah? Our spiritual progress is going on nicely because we started many years now, yeah? And it's more or less settled down and organized. It's not completely organized the way you think it should be, but we can never be completely organized because there will always be new disciples coming until they become used to it again and cooperate. It takes a longer time. And there are always disciples, always new things, always disturbances, yeah? Bringing new karma, new ideas, new egos, new pride, new stubbornness, and everything. So we always have to put up with it, especially me. So actually these things take care of themselves because now we have many disciples, yeah? And each one takes care of the next, more or less. It's not so chaotic like the first few years. and we have different centers, and everything seems to be a little bit settled down. Yeah, so it's not the spiritual issue that gives me trouble and makes me sleepless and all that. It's just the Vietnamese refugees, the urgency, and the frustration of bureaucracy, and the fear of the free world to increase their own burden, which they already have, and the fear of the different culture shock and clash, and the fear of the different ethnic backgrounds that make many nations step back from receiving the refugees. So when the refugees first came, there may be so many misunderstandings, cultural shock, and custom differences that are difficult to handle. Even though in the long run they will produce and help the nation, but for the first entrance, they might create some kind of waves, disturbances in the social structure of that nation. So this caused me to have a lot of work, headache, sleeplessness, less appetite, and caused a lot of suffering, inner agony, and tiredness, of course. And sometimes this also caused me to have a lack of time and energy to take care of the disciples. Even though inside, the master power takes care, but on the outside, sometimes you see me a little bit more tired or something like that. It's because of this. So recently I was in this kind of mood and a wild schedule. Even sometimes when I'm on a lecture tour, I have to also take care of the refugee problem. Side by side. In the daytime, on evening lecture, and in the nighttime, I have to work on taking care of this. I cannot show you what I'm working on because it is not so easy. Sometimes you make 108 telephone calls, and then it ends up being nothing. Or you stay up all night and write beautiful proposals and get rejected. Yeah? You have to put the phrases together and the structure, which I'm not businesswoman. And the demand, a good proposal, even before I accept it or not, to know how much money is needed, how you handle it, how the person is going to work, and how the refugee is going to be taken care of. Everything they want to know. And therefore these things, even though it has not been successful, it costs a lot of work for me. And other people cannot always replace my work. So many letters I have to dictate, even though they sign it. I have to dictate because I don't know how to write it, and they don't write it the way they should. So I have to take care of every little thing. So recently I was very tired, have been very tired. So even when I sleep, I have nightmares. Just to give an example, what I have just said to you before, whatever comes out of even of our dream or action is the leaking out of our inside, of what we have full of inside. So do not think that because you cut one more blade of grass, then I will scold you. It is your karma, your heavy karma. It is your lower level of consciousness that causes this. But we should demonstrate our inside wisdom by every action in life and daily life. That's how people know you're wise or not. People know whether truly practice or not, whether you progress or not. Otherwise, you can boast many things. You can hang all my pictures all over your chest and your hair and your feet and your hand everywhere to show your devotion. But that won't fool anyone. If your actions, your speech, and your thought are so low and harmful. So going back to my recent state, I was tired that even one day I had a bad dream. I don't dream, but that day I dreamed. What did I dream? It's just kind of topsy-turvy, It means nothing at all, really. I dreamed about I saw my father and we are somewhere, but it was not in our house. Anyhow, my father was there. But it was at the end that I was supposed to be with my father somewhere. And I wasn't the master somewhere in the old time. And I had a snake with me. And the snake's supposed to bite everybody on the hills whenever he got a chance. Yeah. He looks cute and quiet, but he bites. And I just took him along for a walk. I didn't know how I did it. I remember maybe taking him by the tail, but I don't know how we can take a snake by a tail to go for a walk. But that happened in a dream, In a dream, everything happens. And it's a strange dream and very rare. I probably was too exhausted and too frustrated, with all these things and all the sleepless nights, and was nervous, stressed. So I remember taking him by the tail, walking around. Taking him for a walk like you take a dog for a walk. I took a snake for a walk. Probably belonged to me. So anyhow, suddenly I felt something like it wasn't walking with me. I don't know how a snake walks, but he seemed to walk in my dream. I looked back and I saw he was so wounded and swollen, the whole body, except the tail part. And so I was so broken in my heart. So I knew, and I was so heartbroken. I knelt down in front of him. I said, please, don't die. Let me die for you. And I cried for him. I really wanted to die for him. I really felt that it was so terrible. I say, just whatever happened, just let me bear it for you. Let me die for you. And I woke up at that time. And then I said to one of the attendants at that time, I said, oh, geez, how come I had a dream like that? Take a snake by his tail and go walking. And I didn't realize it hurt him so much. And I felt so very, very hurt about that. Very bad that I knelt beside him and said, please don't die. Just let me die for you. And so I said, how come you want to die for a snake? I kept asking myself. Yeah. And I said to the attendant, it's a strange dream. Even if it happened like so, how can I truly want to die for the snake instead of him? I wanted to replace him, to die for him instead, and suffer for him instead. I said, how come? It's so strange. If you want to die for your loved one or a person, you can understand, but for a snake, who has heard of these things? How come it's such a strange dream? And so the attendant said, it is because you're always full of love. So even in a dream, even for the snake, you would express this kind of attitude and have this kind of mental attitude. So I was enlightened then, through the attendant.